Hello everyone, Happy New Year. Wishing you a prosperous 2022. May your heart's desires be fulfilled in this particular new year. I've taken a break from social media and I'm glad to be back. I've taken time to reflect on where we stand as a country and indeed as a continent. And now than ever before, my call on a number of us to enterprise is so resolute because it will help us curb the challenges that we face as a continent and indeed as a country. And these are the challenges of high unemployment rate, underdevelopment, poverty, and all these things. We can solve these challenges if a number of us decided to enterprise. But today I have a message for you as an individual. You need to realize something very interesting. No one is spending sleepless nights for your sake. No one is spending sleepless nights thinking of how you are going to develop. No one is dead worried on how poor you are and how you can better your life. Your development and your success is dependent on you as an individual, 100% dependent on you. Not even the politicians that we celebrate are spending sleepless nights thinking on how they can make your life as an individual better. We need to realize something interesting. Politicians have a role. And their role is to create an enabling environment for you and myself to succeed, but not for you as an individual to succeed. And that is why you'd have people born of the same family, same father, same mother, living in the same house, same environment, eating the same food, sleeping in same everything, same schools, same everything. But these two people who are born from the same family, one becomes successful and the other one doesn't. Why? Because your individual success is dependent on you as a person, 100% dependent on you. And sometimes we tend to think there's a politician out there who will make our lives better. We'll change governments, but still, just as is the case at family level, others will become successful and others will not, because success is at individual level. As such, I'm calling you at individual level to a challenge which I'm calling the Redefining 6 Months. In this Redefining 6 Months, I call on you, for those who are not yet married, to stay away from premarital sex. Stay away from sex for 6 months. Stay away from partying, drinking for 6 months. Substance abuse, stay away from that for 6 months. Focus on developing yourself. Focus on that business that you're working on. Focus on those things that matter in your life for 6 months. And why 6 months? When you focus on making yourself better and sacrificing all these things that seem to be nice to you for 6 months, the things that you'd achieve in 6 months would give you a thrust for 5 years. In other words, what you would then be able to achieve in these 6 months would ideally take you 5 years to achieve in mediocrity. I have no moral right to judge you, but here's the thing. If you want to go back to premarital sex, fine, you can go back, but go back after 6 months. Just try this challenge. Even for those who are married, forget about side chicks, about side dudes, forget about all that. Focus on things that would make you a better person. Feast on a health diet. And by a health diet, I just don't mean food. The content that you consume, the things that you watch, the content that you read, the things that you follow on social media. For 6 months, focus on things that matter. There is so much more that you stand, to achieve. And this reminds me, I had a turning point in my life, which, took place in a space of 6 months. And it was in 2013. 2013, that was around April. Something interesting happened. I made a massive loss in a tomato project, and at about the same time, my girlfriend dumped me. The only thing that I had that I could, hang on to was a company that you had registered with 2 other friends. It was a software company. In that period, I had nothing to hold on to except that particular business. I worked so hard. I had never worked as hard as I worked in that 6 months, and I have never worked after that 6 months the way I worked in that 6 months. It is the hardest, it is the period that I worked the hardest in my life. And here's something interesting. What I achieved in that 6 months is what has catapulted me to be what you now call the radical entrepreneur. It is in that 6 months that I bought my first car. It is in that 6 months that, I started staying alone. I could then afford to rent an apartment. It is in that 6 months that I started running my own transport business. It is in that 6 months that, my life entirely changed. Little did I know that if I forecast so hard in 6 months, it just took about 6 months for our company to blow up. Little did I know that a concentrated period of 6 months is all our company needed to blow up. Who knows? Maybe that business that you have been running, it will just need 6 months for it to blow off. Maybe that idea that you have been entertaining, it will just take 6 months for it to blow off. Maybe your career, it will just take about 6 months for it to blow off. As such, I challenge you to join me in this redefining 6 months where I will shun away from these things that distract us and to focus on things that matter. Notice the pages that you'll be following on social media. You see, it is so sad that we are in a space where as a nation we are seen as jokers. We love gossip. We love things that do not add value. We love jokes. We love things that do not add value on ourselves. And we shun away on things that matter. May these 6 months be a redefining period. And should you wish me to encourage you and maybe be there to, push you, or maybe if you need that little push in that 6 months, may you click on the link just to join the WhatsApp that I'll be able, to share nuggets on how to go about some of the challenges that you'll be able, to face in this period. As such, I challenge you to tag your friends, your cousins, and everyone else that you care for. Your son, your daughter, your aunt. Just tag them and challenge them to be part of these 6 months. And I can tell you for a fact that if a number of us held our hands together, there's so much more that we can achieve in this generation. We still look back to those generations in the 1960s, in the 1950s, that accorded us political independence. But who knows? Maybe our country was waiting for a time such as now, when yourself and myself will hold hands and bring about economic liberation, economic freedom. We can do this only if we became, a determined, focused, and resolute a people. With those words, I wish you nothing than the best in this new year. I know we have a couple of resolutions, but without sacrifice and dedication, all these things are just wishes which will not come to pass. But if we dedicated ourselves for the next 6 months, so much more will be achieved. This is the message from the Radical Entrepreneur, and the future is bright.